stylistically, this was a little bit different for Pharrell. I think at this time it was very orchestral.
Mm-hmm.
I believe he had just finished spending a lot of time with Hans Zimmer.
Mm.
You know, so he was kind of diving into those, learning and diving into those sorts of sounds.
Mm.
The song was like a sleeper to me on that album.
Yep.
The messaging, the lyrics, the conviction in Frank's voice, just everything about it just really resonated with me.
Mm-hmm.
And then sonically, it just hit, just the way it hit, it was just so many there was a bunch of small things to make something great, dope.
Dope. Was this one of them sections of the record where, or did you feel like you wanted to put your super personal touch on it, or did you want to say, you know what, the elements are there, let me just clean up, balance, and polish? Or is it something like my character needs to be in there somewhere?
I think my character is always there.
For sure.
And I think a part of my character is enhancing elements that are already there, and then just like making them the best versions of themselves. I would say there probably are a few things that were a little bit different in the rough that I thought should be a little bit more prevalent, or and sneak a few things in. But just the bones of this record were already there when I got it.
It was recorded well.
It was recorded well. Great choice of sounds. I think that's one of the things, especially as my career progressed. I had the opportunity to work with great producers who knew what they wanted, and they selected sounds as such. So for me, my approach is always just finding balance, giving different elements space to breathe, and also getting their due shine within a record to be highlighted.
Mm-hmm. With this particular record, in most of your records, where's your start point? Do you start listening all the way down just to see what you have? Of course, that might be some go-tos for everybody. Do you just dive in straight for vocals? Do you start with the beat? Do you listen to the beat elements? How do you start?
I would say my throughout the years, my approach has changed.
Okay.
Right? Due to, when I first started mixing, I had to get a 2-inch reel, and we put up the tape, and all my faders started at 0. And every time you put up a song, you had to rebuild it.
Yep.
Now with Pro Tools and other DAWs, when you open a session, it's as it was the last time it was open. So in many cases, someone's been working on a song for, could be 6 months, and every time they open a session, they did a tweak, right? So now you're jumping in at a point where people have lived with it, and they've actually been working towards a point where they feel that now we're going to pass it off to you to kind of add your thing to it. So in that way, the job of a mixer has really evolved. And I think after spending so much time doing it one way, being able to adapt to the new approach is important if you want to, continue to be in the game. So for this song, I put it up and I played it, and again, what's resonating with me? What do I think, when I hear, like, oh, I want to hear more of this. Oh, I don't like how this sounds, or those are two great sounds, but, they're clashing. How do I, whether it's panning or filtering or, how do I help create and carve space for this, collage of sounds to work, harmoniously together. So, I mean, that's the first thing that I'm listening for. I'm listening for those things, but probably first off is just, again, what's the message in the record? Like, what does it make me feel? And, as we spoke before, this is my music. When I say my music, I mean, in the sense of like, this is what I listen to whether I'm working or not.
That's
right?
right.
So I have a sense of what I want to get out of it when I hear it. So that's what I'm also listening for. Like, so I have multiple ears I listen. I have my like kind of consumer fan, right? Ear, my, what I'm feeling from it ear, and then I have my, technical ear. But I'm always leading with feeling first. I think it's really important to always, feel first. Because after you get in that very analytical, technical ear, it's hard to go back to feeling.
Yep.
And as we get older, I feel like we lose a little bit about that. Like the more information we get, we become a lot more cerebral.
Yep.
So I always try to listen to things first, but not such a, technical ear, and just try to feel it. So, that's what I did here. Just put it up, and I'm, again, hearing the horns. Yeah, I hear those horns come in. Like, what is, what? It's like, what's about to happen? Then Frank and his tone. And then the, kind of the way it transitions from Frank's voice to Jay's voice. It's just, all those different things, like the percussion, it's just very triumphant. It feels like we're headed somewhere.
Yep.
And again, I let the music lead me.
Dope. With Jay's vocals, as far as, and Frank's too, because you've done quite a few records, do you always know where you want to dial in for subtraction start? Do you know where, okay, one thing I do know about Jay's voice, I'm just saying in general, you might say, hey, there's too much mid. I know my first surgical thing is to go in with EQ and, take out some of the mid. Or is it something like you change it every time with his mix? Because when you do his records, it almost sounds even. It's back to a certain Duro style. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes when we mix a lot of records of artists, you get in a space where it's like, oh, I know exactly how this is too nasally, or this is this, you know what I'm saying? Is that something you go for, or you just go completely start over every time?
No, definitely not.
Okay.
There's not a one size fit all, because yes, Jay or whoever the vocalist is the artist, but they're also one instrument in the composition.
That's right.
And the instruments have to work together, right? So some songs are darker than others, right? Some are some songs will be brighter, or even just not just even the EQ on it, but based on the instrumentation, what's there. So sometimes you really have to figure out, like, you have to find that balance of how they all work together. So sometimes there are songs where, the vocal's gonna be brighter, right? So I think what you hear is like, it always sounds like that person, but it sounds like that person in the context of that song. But if you put those songs next to another song, you might notice how much different they actually sound. So it's the best version of that instrument for that song, right? And this, we know what Jay sounds like. We have to so like, yeah, they may be some, some top end things that may be like a little bit like not pleasant, that depending on what mic he used or where he recorded it, what room, right? There may be more of those things present. I would say one consistent thing probably on Jay's vocals that I've done throughout the years is actually add mid-range, adds a little bit more body to it.
Gotcha.
And I think that's a very like uncommon thing in general. I feel like
most people
they go to mid and take all the mid out. Like so many records are like, and I really don't like songs that way, because it feels like you can just drive a truck through the whole mid-range. It's just like this empty. It's just like this top and this bottom. And it's like, and to me, the mid-range is literally a cohesion point. It's like where you're making things like, so I like to push in those frequencies. I would say I think people shy away from them because it's a very hard space to manage. It's a lot of things when they start intersecting there, to try to figure out how to find space for them, not only in the frequency range, but in the spatial range of like,
you lose breathing room.
Right. So it's like, and I think in the easy way is to just take it out. Similar to, you know, people, they can't figure out how to make something fit, so they add a bunch of compression. Like they just, now it's glued together, right? You know, so I in general, you know, we can look through this track. I don't use a lot of compression. I don't use a lot of EQ, especially when you have a producer who's kind of picked the things. I'm only looking to enhance and make them better. Compression, I think the way around compression is literally, I do a lot of rides, not just vocal rides, but instrumentation, you know, giving things, you know, their own space. You know, sometimes, you know, from second verse, the kick might be a little louder, or like, you know, or maybe throughout the song, the second verse, the kick might be half a dB louder, and the next chorus another quarter of a dB up, like, you know, like things that, and these are all things that you may not necessarily hear, but they're changes that you can feel. You may not be able to put your finger on why you feel this way or what's happening, but those are the things I like to do. These like very small things that, small little changes and turns that bring us to a destination.
Right.